So let's start from here. Okay, so we're going to check if the user has submitted the form. So to do that, we are going to use the post array or the post variable, and we are going to check if there is an element of key submit, because our submit button has got a name submit, and you can check it there. Okay. All right. So if the user has submitted the form, then we are going to run all this code until here, until the end. Okay. So first of all, we are going to check for errors. So to check for errors, we are going to go through all these fields and check if any field is missing or a field is not valid. So let's start with the first one. So we are going to check if so if we write this, for example, if we just write post name, so that's the key. Okay, so we're checking the element of key name, and that's the name of our input there. If we say that, this means that if the user has input a name, but we want to check the opposite, so we're going to use an exclamation mark, and this means if the name field is missing. Okay, and just to make our code more readable, we can define all the user inputs right at the beginning. Okay, so let's define a variable name, which is going to be post name. Okay, and rather than writing this, we're just going to write name instead. Okay, we can do this with all the other inputs. So we can define a another variable email, which is going to be the email inputs of the user. Okay, and another one, message, which is going to be the message inputs of the user. Okay. All right. So if we are missing the name field, okay, then we are going to add a paragraph to the final results message. So we're going to have a variable called errors. Okay, and we're going to add these paragraphs to the this errors variable, and then at the end we're going to place this errors variable inside a div. Okay, so let's have a look quickly at the code and understand this in a better way. So if we look at the error message, so you've got a div here, okay, and you've got all these paragraphs. Okay, so the error message or the errors variable is going to store all these paragraphs. So whenever we find an error, we just add a paragraph, and then we add another paragraph for another error, and then we add another paragraph to another error. So at the end of the day, the list of paragraphs is going to be our errors variable. And then at the end, when we want to print our results message, our results message is going to be a div, and inside the div we can place our errors variable. Okay, we'll understand this in a better way when we make it. Okay, so now if we are missing the name, we're going to add a paragraph. Okay, and this paragraph is going to say, please enter your name. Okay, and just to make it look bold, we are going to place the content between the strong tags. Okay, okay, and also to make our code more structured, we can also store all these errors or these paragraphs inside variables. Okay, so the first ones that we have created here, all these variables, we are getting user input, and then we are going to create other variables called error messages. So the first one is going to be missing name. Okay. And we can set that to the value of this paragraph. Okay. And rather than adding the paragraph, we can just add the variable instead. Okay. So if we're missing the name, we add to errors the variable missing name, which is a paragraph. Okay. And we can build other paragraphs. Another one later is going to be missing email. Okay. I'm just going to say, please enter your email address. And another one is going to be invalid email, once we validate the email. Okay. And this one is going to be, please enter a valid email address. A valid email address. And the last one is going to be missing message. Okay. Now we're just going to be saying, please enter a message. Okay. All right. So now we have checked if we are missing the name, and if we are missing the name, we add missing name to errors. All right. Else. Okay. We know that we've got a name field and the user has input their name. Now we are going to change the name variable, and we're just going to clean this input using the filter var function. Okay. So the first field is going to be the name itself. Okay. Remember that the name is what the user has input at the beginning. Okay. And the second parameter is going to be filter sanitize string, because we are dealing with a string. Okay. So that's how we check the name. Okay. So now we are going to move to the email. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to check if we are missing email. Okay. Then we're going to add to the errors variable. We're going to add missing email. If we have the email, then we are going to validate the email. First of all, we're going to clean the email. Okay. So we're going to replace email with the output of the filter var function. So the first parameter is the email itself, and the second parameter is going to be filter sanitize email. All right. And now we're going to check if the email is valid or not. Okay. So we're gonna check if it's not valid. So you're gonna say if exclamation mark, and then we use the function we have learned to validate email. So filter var, okay, same function, but the parameters are going to be the email itself and filter validates email. Okay. So if this, so we use the exclamation mark to say if the email is not valid, okay, then we are going to add another message to the errors variable. Okay. and this one is going to be invalid email. All right. Okay, so now we can move to the message, and now we're going to say if we are missing the message, then we're going to add to the errors variable missing message. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to set the message variable to the clean version of message, and for that we're going to use the filter var function, and we're going to give it as first parameter the message itself, and the second parameter is going to be filter sanitize string. Just copy the same one. Okay. So now we have gone through all the fields, okay? And now at this point, we would know whether we have an error or not, okay? So we're going to check now if errors, okay, which means that we have an error, then what we're going to do, we are going to set the results message, okay? So we're going to set a new variable called result message, and we are going to place the errors variable, which consists of paragraphs, inside a div of class alerts danger. Okay, so the results message is going to be a div. Okay, and we're going to give it a class alerts danger. Okay, and inside the div we are going to add our errors variable. Okay, and at the end we can echo the results message like that. Okay, so let's try this. So let's refresh the page. Okay, so let's go again rather than resubmitting. So if we go to our file, so if I just click on send message, so we can see the error message there. So we are missing the name, missing the email, and missing the message. If we write a name there and we click again on send message, now we are missing the email address and the message. If you write okay, so before we continue, you mentioned that once we submit the form and we see the error message, we lose all our inputs. Okay, all the data is gone. So we're going to solve this in a little bit. Okay, so if we have this time a name and our email is not correct, and we send a message. Okay, so this is HTML5. It knows that this is an email input. So this is not the PHP code that raised that, you see. But let's write a wrong email. So we can see, please enter a valid email address. Okay. So let's solve this issue that we're losing our inputs once we submit the form. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to our form and we're going to inject some PHP code inside the inputs. So each of these inputs, we're going to add a value attribute to it. Okay. And this value attribute, we're going to set it to the inputs of the user. So as an example, the name input, we're going to give it a value. Okay. And we're going to write some PHP code inside the double quotes. To print the user name input, okay? And it's going to be our, so we're going to use the post variable, and we're going to access the element of key name, okay? So now, if we refresh the page, okay, let's go back rather than submitting the form. Now, if you write a name there and we submit, okay, so we're still losing the name. Let's check if something is missing. Okay, we need a semicolon there at the end of the statement. Okay, so let's try again. So if we write a name there and we submit, okay, we're still using the name. Oh, we forgot the echo function. So we need to echo this. We are printing this, okay, on the screen. Okay, so we need to echo this variable. Okay, so if we save and try again. So now if we input that and submit, now we can see that we haven't lost our inputs. Okay, so that's how it works. So we just place inside the value, we place this simple PHP code. So we just echo the value that the user has input, and we're going to do exactly the same in the other input. So if we go to the email inputs, so just going to add a value there. I'm going to change this to email. Okay. Okay, and if we go to the message input, so it's a text area. Okay. So we don't have a value attribute for the text area, but we are going to go inside the tags, okay, between the tags of the text area, and write our PHP code in there. So it's gonna copy the PHP code and write it in there, and change email to message. Okay, so now if we try again, we shouldn't be losing any inputs. Okay, so we keep all the inputs there. Okay. All right. Now that we went through all the user fields, checked if there are any errors. Now, if there are errors, we managed to print an error message. Okay.